Hey, Chris here again to talk to you about rates of return. If you've taken the time to watch my 4 benefits of real estate investing video, which you can find elsewhere on this website, you know that the 4 benefits are cash flow before taxes, principal reduction, tax benefits, and of course appreciation. What we want to do now is take those numbers and work them in different formulas to see what the different kinds of rates of return are for this investment property. Because whenever we're looking at an investment property, we're not looking at it in a vacuum. We're looking at it as compared to what else you could buy. What else could you be doing with your money? What other returns could you be getting? The gross rent multiplier is a rate of return that a lot of investors like to use. Scares the heck out of me that they want to buy properties just based on this alone, because the gross rent multiplier is simply your sales price divided by your expected gross rents. That's okay, but it doesn't take into account your cost of money. It doesn't take into account your expenses. It doesn't take into account a lot of things. So I really want to shy away from that. I might use it as a quick and dirty formula to see if I even want to go into that neighborhood and look at it. But the gross rent multiplier is one way to measure your returns. It's not reliable. Please don't do that if you're going to spend your real money. All right, now let's talk about cap rate. Cap rate is really simply the net operating income divided by the purchase cost of the property. And while it's a lot more reliable rate of return, it's still not everything that we need. But it does take into account your total income minus your total expenses, which is how we get to the net operating income. And then we divide that by the purchase cost. Rabbit trail real fast. Purchase cost is not the price you paid for the property. It's the price you paid for the property plus the closing costs and any capital improvements you might have. So keep that in mind. So the cap rate is a better rate of return. Still doesn't give me everything I need to know, because your cost of money might be very much different than my cost of money. Better or worse isn't the issue here, but we want to take into account as much as we can. So the cap rate again is net operating income divided by purchase cost of the property. The next one I want to use, and I will use this a lot for my cash investors, if they've got the wherewithal to buy a house, fix a house, close on a house with nothing but cash, what we'll do is we'll figure out their cash flow before taxes, and we'll divide that by the total cash invested, and we'll come up with a cash on cash return. This is valuable for some of the funds that I've been buying houses for, wherein that they can know, hey, I could be over here in the stock market and get this rate of return, or I can be in this series of houses over here and get this rate of return. So a cash on cash return, again, is quite simply the cash flow before taxes divided by the cash invested. It's a great return if you're just trying to figure out which investment vehicle you should be in. But the rate of return that I use for me and my property, the rate of return that I use for my clients is called total return without appreciation. I don't like to figure appreciation in because I can always look back and see what appreciation was, but I can't necessarily look forward and see what appreciation is. So the total rate of return that I like to use is cash flow before taxes plus principal reduction plus tax benefits divided by the total cash invested, and that gives me my total rate of return without appreciation. That's the number that takes into account your income, your expenses, your cost of money, and your tax benefits like depreciation. So I've taken as much information as I can, and I've put in 3 or 4 legs to that stool so I can sit on that stool and be comfortable and know that I've got a good idea of what that property is going to do for me. So those are the different kinds of returns that you'll hear a lot about. That's the gross rent multiplier, the cap rate, the cash on cash return, and the total return without appreciation. If you want to figure out what your total return with appreciation could be, especially in a growing market, you can do that for fun. I wouldn't rely on that though. It gets a little bit into real estate speculation, not investment. And so it always makes me a little bit nervous. And there's one that I'm going to give you a homework assignment on if you want to look it up, and it's called the debt service coverage ratio. It's basically your net operating income divided by your total debt service. It should tell you, it'll come up with a formula that banks can help you if you're buying larger properties. I wouldn't worry too much about it if you're most investors watching this buying single family homes or maybe duplexes or fourplexes. If you're getting into larger scale apartments, knowing what your debt service coverage ratio is going to be important. Can I guarantee you the bank's going to want to know what it is. So I want to thank you again for watching one of my videos here and learning what the total rates of return can be, the different kinds of rates of return there are. If you want to find out more about real estate investing, I would love to talk to you on other videos. See you soon.